welcome everybody. I am here. Well, we are here. Let me do that again.
It's fine.
And I'm here.
It's
Welcome
fine.
everybody. We are here with our friend Branimir. And we've met it was over a year ago now, I think, right? In
Yeah.
through LU and working with the Fetters, and he's been part of the Three Continents of Awakening. So anybody who has watched those has seen him multiple times before. We're really grateful to have him in those. And Branimir's been guiding through the First Fetter through LU, and he had a number of profound experiences during the awakening process and we had been kind of conversing over the months as he was going through things, and it was really nice getting the feedback of his experience and with compared to what I was going through at that point, and I found it really super helpful. And so I asked him to do an interview, which is actually my first interview on this channel. So it's really exciting. Yes, thank you. And this is kind of what might be like a new series of the Sofa Sit interview, like the Sofa Sit interview series. So Sofa Sit with Branimir. So we have some questions, and then I'm open to it just being kind of a freely flowing conversation as stuff comes out of it too. But we do have some basic things that I'm curious about that I think might be helpful to other people watching. So first of all, welcome, Branimir. Thank you so
Thank,
much for doing this.
thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah. To start with, can you just give us a brief potted spiritual history of what got you to the point where you are now?
Yeah. I think it was, I don't remember the year, but it was 3 or 4 years ago when I just got more interested into Buddhism for a reason that I cannot exact the point, but it was something was missing in the life. Something was not right how this life was, unfolding in a way that you cannot have, basic control over certain stuff in your life, social situations. So something was missing definitely there. Something was missing. I don't know what, but there was a clear. I think this is the seeking, right? Exactly.
It is.
There
Yeah.
was what something was pulling me to find out what is wrong with that, but I couldn't. I didn't know about spirituality a lot. Modern Western, I would say, spirituality or medicine or therapy. It was not for me. It was something that I was never into that. So yeah, and then it was. I remember it was. I was watching some videos. There was a monk talking, a Buddhist monk talking about what is not awakening, but what is meditation, and saying basically the stuff we cannot control our thoughts and emotions, and that was something. Of course, we cannot. I never thought about it like that. So that was the first thing. And at that point, really, I enrolled at a meditation course. It was online for over a year and a half. That was really groundbreaking. It really grounded me for all of what was happening later.
Mm.
And during that time, I had some kind of, I didn't know about awakening that time, and that's important to mention. I was not aware that there is something called no self, or
Mm.
Yeah.
enlightenment, or I just uh, was, taking the course, doing the meditation, the guided meditation, going through that, and I had very, after a month or two, some small insights, like everything started, for about an hour or two, became very peaceful, and I didn't know what was that. So then I tried to, familiarize myself with that, what exactly was that, and this is how I came into waking, into
Amazing. What
into
can I
no
just interrupt
self.
and ask? Sorry, can I just interrupt and ask what kind of meditation were you doing in that course?
That was all of it.
Okay.
It was structure. First was basic meditations, body meditation, scanning body meditation, sound, forms, and so on. And then the next course was emotions, negative emotions, how to stay with them, how not to react. Then was the third part, was more like open awareness meditation, basically not to do anything, just let everything be as it is. That was some tremendously helpful. And the last part was into the no self. But then, but by then I had already a shift. But But yeah, that was like it was amazing. So
Did you
uh,
find one of those? Sorry, just harp on this
no,
for one
no,
more.
no.
Did you find that like certain ones seem to be more insight provoking for you than other types?
Yeah, the fact open awareness in terms of not having anything as a support. I mean,
Yeah.
to alternate between, for example, having sound as a support and then not to try to have anything, but just stay whatever it is. This is, it takes time to get the hang of it a little bit, what is exactly this, but that's everything. Because later when someone has shifts, then exactly sees what it means, this effortless beingness, not to try to change the experience at all, and that was they were pointing out towards that, which it was like a effortful trying not to do anything until the point, when later this effort also drops away, but
Mm.
that's amazing. That was very insightful. I never approached life like that in any such social situations like that, not to do anything, just to let it be as it is. That was amazing. And, all other stuff, I cannot now just pinpoint. Now the emotional work as well, just staying with the negative emotions, especially, that I never treated them like that before. It was always resistance, avoidance, and all of the stuff, but never like, where is it? Where it's happening? Like, and scan the body, and just stay with that, focus on that, meditate on that. So that was these two things I would say were like groundbreaking.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, and then it was, as I said, this made context for everything, like ground for everything. And then I got into this no self business. That was I remember first reading about there is no self. My mind was like, I have to see what it is. I have to find out. I have to experience it, right? Because it was like a way out of this whole, this negativity, suffering, call it, you name it. And yeah, and that's how I searched for months for pointers. Uh, and then came across Elio Liberation Unleashed. And this is when I found their book there, uh, Gateless Great Crushes, which is basically conversation between guides and 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 people and clients, they call them. And there was many pointers, conversation, and then I read this book immediately. I remember because and then next day I had a shift.
Wow.
Next day I had a shift, but this was not. I just want to point out some. There was a context before it with the meditation part and everything. But yeah, this was without that I wouldn't. There was no chance. That happened immediately.
What
So
was
yeah,
your Sorry, what was your experience of that particular shift when you had that you read the book, and then how did you know that that was a shift?
oh, it was very clear that there is no self. It was very clear. It was like I just started laughing, like how I didn't see this before. Started crying as well. I was in the park. I remember walking. It was a beautiful day. Uh, um, yeah, and then it was very, very clear. It was the most obvious thing that it was nothing, it was very ecstatic. Lots of energy went away. Uh, I never experienced such a shift. Even the later stages of awakening, I never experienced such an ecstatic shift. More profound shifts I experienced definitely, but not in a way that so much energy was involved there. So that was that, and yeah, it was a honeymoon period for a while. Or this feeling of nothing is missing. This feeling of everything is, it was at that point also the sense of doership was not there.
Mm.
Like, which actually it didn't last for long, but these few days especially it was not there. Like everything was happening on its own. It was very clear, uh, and that lasted for this period of really nothing missing, feeling good for maybe 2 3 weeks. I cannot remember. Okay, I just wanted to ask you something about that, about the first
Yeah.
factor,
Yeah.
because I had a very clear shift and very clear insight about that. And
Yeah.
And I know some people say even they're not sure if they had it.
Yep.
Um, so, but or they or they reported like it was very subtle, but I'm not sure still. So my impression, my experience, very different. And I have also other people who said yes, I saw it very clearly. So
Yeah.
how you deal with that? How is your experience with people having that kind of experience? Are they all have to? What are you gonna tell me now? You are above you over the first factor if if you had a real clear insight, or we could move further. How you deal with that? How you approach that?
Yeah. It's
Uh,
so go
you,
ahead.
no, you go first.
Okay, so it depends on the situation, I think. So, because we do have a lot of people who have been doing this stuff for so many years, and it's like so subtle when they see through it, because they're comparing and they're expecting like some major
Yeah,
explosion that doesn't happen.
yeah,
Um,
right.
so for then, I try to come into like what is actually at the root of the doubt of them not believing that they saw through it. Is it that there's expectation that's hanging on?
Mhm.
Is there what is their actual, like I bring them into their actual experience to see, is there really a self there? Is it that it feels like sometimes, okay, can guess there's maybe no self, but then other times I still feel like a self. Well, if that's the case, then we investigate those. If it's like, um, no, I know that there's no self, but it just doesn't feel that big. And well, okay, so is it a an intellectual understanding of no self? Is it something that they really can see and feel in their experience, or is it just that
Mm,
they've convinced themselves because they've heard the
Yeah,
concepts enough and they understand it, and then go through that way?
mm,
Um, and then yeah, and then so it's basically just looking for like identification anywhere that it shows up in that kind of realm, and see if there's still something there that's holding on, and if so, can we look through that and release that? But I try to make everybody understand that no two experiences are alike,
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
you can't compare yourself with what you hear anybody else say, because you have no idea what anybody else is experiencing. Even if you hear the words that they're saying, you don't know what their actual experience is that they are trying to convey using those words, which
Mhm.
oftentimes sound way more
Yeah,
mm,
than they are. And then you are taking them and creating your own version of what you think those words are saying, and then comparing your actual experience to what you think you're hearing them say about something else.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
And that
so
prevents from staying with a pointer actually. Yeah.
mm.
absolutely.
Like going look and look and look and look.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
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 it's just,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
How's your like what do you normally do in those situations?
I let them tell me. I will let them to tell me like it's not about having a real experience, like strong experience, like I did, or but you have to be absolutely certain if you saw it. You have to know it. You
Yeah.
don't have to have a like a big moments, explosions or whatever,
Yep.
but you have to be absolutely certain. Like, aha, I saw it now. I know what it is.
Yeah.
This is it. You have to tell me. I cannot tell you that, but and then you can notice how people. I mean, I still work with just 2 3 people. Just started at LU,
Okay.
but yeah, that's. I mean, if they know it, if they saw it, I, and the job is done for that part, of course.
Yep.
But I would let them to tell me definitely. I would point, of course, but as you
Yep.
said, people are coming with lots of comparisons because the
Yeah,
other day I'm just
lots of
I'm talking
expectations. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
expectations, based on that, and then I'm just guiding one person who is actually great. He has this curiosity that you have to have, like he's really looking right, and but he told me like, and I told him like, you don't expect anything, let go of everything, but you will know when it happens.
Yeah.
Mm,
And then he told me like, but how will I know it? Because I heard some people say that you have to, have a big ecstatic shift, but some of people are saying it's subtle. So this is a trap here right now. You don't go there. So
Yep.
this is the comparison expectation and prevent from literally staying with the pointer.
mm,
But when you stay in the pointer, when you out like focus, 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 something will happen. It
Yeah.
has to take some time. It has to take
mm,
some time, but something will happen for sure when you stay focused on that. How
Yeah.
long? I don't know. And depends of people, as you said, how curious you are, the level of curiosity, the right pointer, you have to hit the moment, we're all having busy lives. So it's different. So That's how I would. But it's always tricky with. I think I have an impression that is, and you tell me that it's easier to guide later stages than the first fetter. Is it true or not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because every time you work with the second fetter, third fetter, fourth, fifth, and sixth, and so on,
Yeah.
it's all about identification.
Yeah.
All of them, all 10 fetters is about
Yeah.
identification. And if a person has seen through self, really seen through self,
Yeah.
then when you point that out, but that is identification, with a separate self, then they can see, oh yeah,
Again,
so at
absolutely
least
right.
that can be removed, and then they can look at, I want them to be like that, or I don't want this to happen, or
Yeah.
so for them to be aware that a lot of what they are hung up on is directly self-referential. It is selfing.
Yeah.
It's
It's
much
something
easier
there.
because
Yeah.
you have a vocabulary, and they have an experience, a previous experience.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. My thought is also that it's
Yeah.
tricky. It's like, because you still don't know, you're still entering this new terrain,
Mm.
and then you don't know how to orient, but later is a little bit different when you had it seen for the first time. I would say that it's all of it. It's, first of all, there's no doubt that much, and it's possible.
Yep.
And there's something pulling you towards. So
Mm.
That's amazing. So then how did that propel you on to keep going deeper? How did you,
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
and also, how did you go from that and into the fetters?
I didn't go into the fetters. That's I found out about the fetters later, but at that point, at that point, I remember it was there was lots of, I was not sure what to do, how to address this. I would just
Mm.
let it be. I had also, there was also some kind of a, my instinct was saying it will come to you. So it did
Thanks.
in some waves, so to say, but not the direct. So at that point, I remember writing Angelo, and then we started conversation with him, started exchanging emails and messages, and then but remember he pointed to something that I'm now intellectualizing this. Now I'm back to the part where I'm intellectualizing this, because
Mm.
the shift was there, but it was to some extent not lost completely, but there's other things to be addressed right now.
Yeah.
Mm.
And this was all the reactivity there. I knew that needs to be addressed in a way. So, but I didn't know exactly how, what to do. And and at that point, that was, and then I found about the fetter model. But I didn't just use the fetter model back then. I also used the pointers, the same pointers that I was using for the first fetter as well. Going back to the because there was still something involved here.
Mm.
Yeah.
So at that point, I found out about, I don't. It was Kevin's book. There was some. Kevin had, I don't know who. I think Kevin had uploaded some file on LU about the
Yeah.
fetters, about the fourth or fifth
4
fetter,
and 5.
and I read that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then I read it, and then was, yes, I have to do this, like working with emotions, the reactivity, and look if there's something there.
Yeah.
But I never had the. I have to say, at that point, my awakening is not linear at all. It's
Mm.
like, it's very messy.
Yeah.
I think what is similar to the fetter model is, I would maybe 6, 7, 8 fetter, maybe this kind of, I could say it progresses like that, but it goes a little bit, but it progresses in a certain way like that. But the reactivity part was there,
Yeah.
less and less,
Yep.
but was following, also was part of that process as well. So it was not goal completely, like I know that Christiana was saying when she saw it for the first time, there's no anybody, reacting
Yeah.
or wanting or don't wanting, everything like stopped. For me, it was not. It was following me there. So especially some parts of, there's, as everyone, we have some history of conditioning. So this was still there to be addressed. And this was only later completely gone when when even the sense of I am is that arising, it's completely gone. Then it was that also disappeared.
Yeah. Can you talk more about that? About the because first of all, I'm we reference all the time that the fetters really aren't a linear process, and that there is a lot of back and forth and back and forth. And you had this big insight through the first big shift seeing through the first fetter, and yet you recognize there's still selfing going on even later on. You have to kind of revisit some stuff. And
Yeah.
so can you walk us through a bit about what your like how you worked with 4 and 5, and then how that led to insights into 6, 7, 8, and the falling away of that?
Okay, I'm not going to use the better terminology here
Yeah, no, sure.
because it was not my experience.
Yep.
It was, there are some aspects that we share, but I was not using it at that point.
Yeah.
Later, it was like 6, 7, 8. I was actually used Kevin's pointer for the last one. That was very helpful. But at that point, I noticed, especially about the activity, that there was lots of resistance there before. There was also lots of resistance to stay with what is, with certain experience, with certain emotions, and that was also a very, very good insight. That was one of the most powerful insight I had in this kind of emotional work, call it, or whatever. That there was lots of resistance, stopping, preventing me to be with other sensations there, And then I noticed, yes, here it is, that's why I cannot be. So I also noticed that I was also resisting the resistance in some way.
Yes, yes, yes,
That
yes.
was also, I shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and this is practice. This is not something that you can, I'm not gonna now resist. There is so much conditioning that it's impossible. The body is like used to, is programmed to react in a certain way. So you cannot, for me especially, you cannot just undo this in a single event. So this was, the resistance was key there, definitely, in order to be able to approach the whole emotional spectrum, basically. So, and then I just stopped. Decided not to, resist the resistance, let it be there, and it was clear that there is no resistance actually. That there's no such a thing as a resistance. But this is also, I want to point out, this is not a project you want to have when you work with that. You cannot deconstruct these things like that. So we have to see first what is the resistance. It could be different things. It could be another thought. It's always also some kind of a belief operating, but it could be this urge to do something else than this, which is very automatic. We are very much, we're programmed like that. We cannot stay calm all the time. So there's, especially with these busy lives, especially when we don't have opportunity to reflect inside. So there's this kind of urge to do something always.
Yeah.
It's very automatic, very, very. There's nothing that makes this happening. It's just there all the time. So this is a resistance in order to be with what it is, and then avoidance as well of experience as well. This is kind of resistance. There's some kind of a belief, some kind of a thought operating there. So you just have to see it. So this was the key, and then after that was easier just to stay with emotions. So this was my work with that part, and then I just stayed with whatever it is without resisting it, like this, and then I felt it works.
Yeah, exactly.
That there was a less and less reactivity based on that, and this took some time with all of this fourth and fifth. Let's say that fourth and fifth fetter, what is they are described in the fetter model. It was less and less of reactivity or wanting and don't wanting things to happen to me, but it was there.
Yeah, of course.
Later stages. This is not linear process, and this is also expectations that we shouldn't have. You not fall into the trap of fetter models being something that there's a theory and this is how it's going to work for you. No, this is it is too much intellectualizing.
Yeah, agree.
You will know.
Fully agree.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize those two things because I find them so important. The first one is that if you try to make it linearly, you will fail because it's way too intellectually. It's much more, and it's a much more organic process that is happening. And to allow that process to happen, you need to allow every single resistance to be there.
Yeah.
It's why I always
Yeah.
ask the question, can you be in a body with, you know, whatever resistance you have? Can you be with that resistance and just allowing it to be there, looking into what is resistance actually? Is it something that is really factually in front of me, or is it just a thought attached to a sensory experience? You know, can I stay with this thought? Can I just be with this resistance and see where it takes me? I really, really love that.
Yeah. I mean, I had a thought, but I lost about that. Okay, maybe it'll come back. But the resistance, yeah, I mean, it's everything, definitely, you know, because I mean, it's nothing, you know, it's normal to be there. So that's also what I want to point out, actually, to be resistant, because it's, you know, it's a defensive mechanism that we kind of
Yes. Yeah.
invented it, you know, for no reason. I mean, there's reason behind that, but there's basically no threat. But the body is but the body had learned that there's some danger, so I have to push it away, resist it. So this is the resistance. So
Yeah.
we have to undo the process. We have to, with awareness, with being aware, because we're never aware of that. So now I'm going to be aware of that. So I'm going to use my awareness to just be able to spot it where it is, notice it, and see what is that actually. Then you're curious. Then okay, let's see what is there. Is there a resistance? Is there something? What is it? And just say with the raw sensation of it.
Yeah.
Let it be there, and then see if something. It will come to you if you just stay with that with a little bit of curiosity. It will crystallize what is that. Not immediately, but it will time, definitely.
So was, when you then became awake, was that how you expected it to be? Was your awakening like you expected how life is?
No, not at all. Oh, there is still not at all. It was much better life, definitely. Everything was different by then. You know, even the first shift, it was everything different after that. Many things stay the same, of course, but there's this trust that, you know, I have to go there. I have to do that because it makes sense. It's real. It's not. It's and then with the reactivity, when it kind of reduced it, when it was less and less, it was very clear that this is the way to go. So yeah, it was much better life then. But then it was, you know, all the other all the main shifts are later. Yeah, they came later. This profound shift, this non-dual shift that they call them. Yeah, and then we can talk about that if you have some questions.
Yeah, can you talk more about that?
Yeah, this is the part which is very messy now. That I cannot. It's even difficult for me when I start to reflect on that time, on that period, like on the process. I cannot pinpoint now. Okay, no. But here you go. I remember having a first non-dual shift while I was staring at a wall in my apartment, and then it was clear that there was like all the sense of distance kind of was not there all of a sudden. Poof, I went outside and the buildings started to look differently. But they were bigger and closer, and like they were like flexible in a way. It was very, very, very. I never experienced before that something like that. So that was the first, I would say, shift in this non-dual spectrum, and then after that, it was going back and forth until the feeling of when I had another shift that, you know, it was very clear that there's just sound there. There's no one here receiving the sound.
Yeah.
That was, and it took some time after that. It was months or maybe a year after something, and then I still worked with the certain reactivity patterns that left there. So, but it was much easier. It was much easier by that point, and then was, I remember when the kind of the sense of that there's someone perceiving started to fade away. It was not immediately gone, but starting to fade away. Like the things, objects were all of a sudden there, just the objects, and there was no like communication, if I can be between here and there. It was back and forth. It was not all the time clear. This completely dropped away with the seeing that there is even this sense of I am, this that arises, this very subtle, was there. But at that point, it was very clear that even though there was sense of self there still, it was very clear. It felt differently. It was not feeling that I'm doing something for experience to happen, whether it's a thought, whether it's emotion, whether it's whatever. That was not there anymore. But there was still feeling that I'm absorbing the experience, that is coming to me.
Yeah.
That is still like when something is happening, I caught myself. There's still sense that that's some kind of I am sense of I am. This is the one of the pointer that's helped me. And then there was a Kevin pointer as well there. You don't look at that stage. You don't look at the sense of self as you look in the first pointer at the who maybe, but you look at the thing. There's a certain sense of some things here, and this is the sense of I am arising, very subtle in a way. But if you look closer, it's there all the time,
Yeah.
basically all the time.
It
Yeah.
is.
So, and at that point, yeah, and I saw it. I mean, I've seen it before, but I never proactively. Okay, let's look what is exactly here. And then when I started to look, and then I tried to experience, can I really find it, a sense of I am? Is it really there? As this sound is here or this visual field in front of me, and try to compare these two experiences, and then it was very clear that this was not there, and it was not, the shit was not that profound at the moment, but the next day was like, and days after that were just it was very clear that nothing's missing anymore. Like,
I love that.
So a couple quick follow-ups on that I think people would be interested to know more about. The experience of seeing that, there is that felt sense of I that's kind of in the background all the time. Do you still feel like you have what was once taken as a sense of I am and it's just not anymore? Or is there a fundamental difference in just even the experience of that felt sense of background I radiation?
that's a good question. From time to time, it was at the beginning, yeah, still there, but it's even if I think that I sense it, it's very clear it's a belief assumption. I would call it like a grounded assumption of who we are, because it's not like in a narrative form. It's not like blah 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 or certain story behind that. It's more like an assumption.
Yeah.
It's about who we are, and it's even if it might trick you that is there, but it's very clear it's a belief. But yeah, that's and but I think it at some point it will completely gone. Even it's now I can test the experience right now talking to you. There is no feeling that that this is coming from somewhere anymore. That's when you're especially aware of what is happening, which is most of the time, not most of the time, but not much more than before. It's very clear. But this is only one part of what is of awakening. You're talking about no self, which is crucial, of course. But at that point, there is also, I would say only then you'll get a sense of what awakening is, and the sense of I am drops. Only then.
Yeah.
And everything before that, it was glimpses, in a way. Some more profound, definitely, and it should be there, and we should not avoid them. But only then, aha, there you go. This is because a lot of suffering is gone.
Yeah, Todd has such a great I don't know, call it analogy. I don't know what you call it, with that it's like that there's an elephant in the room, but you can only see it in the periphery. The moment you turn and look directly at it, it's gone.
Yeah.
But you had this, but you had this idea that it's there, and you act as if it's there. But the moment you really, really look at it, it's absolutely gone. And that's
exactly.
it's such a great way to.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like that. Yeah, it's basically see that it's nothing. Actually, you can see that there is nothing in a way. You know it. There is like it's clear. Like it's very clear. It was all
So
now.
another question off of that I'm curious to hear, mostly because I hear this so much from people. What is your experience now of thinking? Because there's a lot of people that are like, well, if I'm having a thought, then I couldn't have seen through self or, awaken. And it can change in ways, but I'm curious what your experience of thinking is now compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, pretty much the same, but also a little bit different because it doesn't affect you anymore in a way. You're not conditioned by that.
Mm.
But it's part of life. Thinking, it's my job to think. It's without that, you have to do stuff. So there's no selfie in a way anymore. I noticed that there's no thoughts about past and present. Maybe there are a few of them, but those beliefs that created lots of suffering and pulled me towards this are not there. Even when they're happening, it's just funny. So this is the part when they're funny. Many thoughts are funny, but I notice there's uh, I would say, even very noticeable shift in the amount of thoughts. So they're much less, and there's much more. And this is the part when it's still it will present itself even more. I have this kind of feeling that this is the part that, and this is only when the sense of self drops away, that it's not very clear that this is what awakening is, but this is now, you have a feeling that now everything starts. Now you're coming back to life now again from a
Yeah.
different perspective, but you're coming back to life, and now you can explore life. So funnily enough, I thought that I will become much more passive,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it turned out it's completely different. I, I don't know. I love to work, to explore, to do stuff much more than I. So it's, maybe this will change. I don't know, but at this point, it's definitely, now you get a chance to explore life, basically, for real.
Yeah, I love that. It's that part that there's no attachment to the thought anymore. The thought
Yeah.
can be there, and the thought can be interesting, and and you can be curious about where a thought takes you, but there's no attachment to it anymore. There's no
Mhm.
attachment for a thought to be in a certain way or
Mhm.
to have a certain thought in a certain way. That's just not there. So the suffering around the thought
Yeah, it's
not
gone. Yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. And yeah, that's definite. But there is also other part. Now you just not get a chance to explore, but the experience gets so direct, so radiant. Everything becomes
Uh,
amazing
yeah.
in a
Yeah.
way. That's it.
Yeah.
It's good. This is the part when it really starts this to it was worth the money.
It's like there's not the like you say that you enjoy your work. What's much more that it's like that distance that was there due to all the
Yeah.
identification with the entire backpack you were carrying around, that is not there anymore. So it's just the
No.
exploration of the work that is super interesting, and it's just yeah.
Yeah, you get amazed by simple things in life all the time.
Yeah.
And I would say, I'm not gonna go, I mean, that far, but I would say there is certain sense of lasting subtle happiness and joy that is always here. If you just pay attention a little bit more, it's always there. So I think this will even crystallize even more in certain way. Probably it will at some point, I don't know. Some people said that this is probably you gonna become very natural, so you're not gonna notice, but I kind of doubt it. No, you don't notice this.
It actually brings us back to, we had started kind of going this direction. Um, so how has this impacted your everyday life now and your relationships, your family life and all of that? How is that different now than it was prior to doing
Mhm.
any of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, massively,
Mm.
every way. As I said, you're coming back to life again in a way that you're not resist. I want to mention this. There's a certain part during awakening process that you will find, and I think everybody does, questioning life as it is, questioning if this makes sense after I had all this shit, if this relationship makes sense or not. Should I work this or not? Should I put more effort or work or not? You will question everything, and and it's fine. It's normal. It's so normal. But that's also I noticed this is kind of sort of resistance to life as well, to what life, you know, what to what you got in life. You got that in life. You got this work, you got this family, you got that. So this is the thing you're getting now, right now. This is what you're getting. So, and this is also wanting a little bit to have a different life, wanting things to be different than they are. Even this is like a passive resistance in a way. So, and this has to be, and this when sense of self goes away, this also goes away. Then because now, okay, it's fine. Whatever relationship is great. My life, you can change your work if you don't, but I love my work, so I'm not going to do it. Even though there were thoughts about it before to do it, because it didn't make sense.
Uh-huh.
Now it's kind of you're coming back with certain sense of understanding and compassion. Not compassion in the sense that you want to, you cry for everything what is happening around, but kind of certain sense that understanding the things how they are and not trying to react to them in a way that you did before.
Yeah.
And this relates to relationship very much. I have like great relationship, much better than I had before. I have a child that helped me. Awakening helped me immensely during that period, which is very stressful, and parents know it. So also to other people, I'm much more open in a way. There's much more openness to meet other people. It's kind of everything is opening up. So it had a tremendous effect of my life, and it was life changing, definitely. As I said, at some point you're coming back to the life again with all this shift. You're just accepting the things as they are, and that's it. Things are as they are. Wanting them to be different leads to suffering. That's not your ticket to happiness. Definitely not. So, and that's very clear, very very clear. And there's no the impulse. The best thing is that the impulse things to be different doesn't arise anymore. It's not that you have to put an effort to say I'm not going to resist. It doesn't. It's not there anymore. And this is liberation.
Mm.
This part is as much as the no self part is crucial. This part is equally insightful. But it comes on its own later.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you? I think I might be jumping one, but do you have any any sense where there were misconceptions or something that you had before starting the process of LU like my tongue got in the way there for a second, like before you started LU or anything after LU, where you had like misconceptions about what to expect that actually got in your way that you would think would be helpful for other people to kind of be able to put aside before they actually start the process?
Okay. Sure. I mean, expectations. Of course, there are many sources about awakening right now, which is great. But at the same time, creates lots of expectation automatically. It's not, you cannot stop that in a way, because more you read, more you watch, there will be expectations. So that's fine. Expectations are fine, but you have to be aware of them. This is the part. You have to be aware of them, and especially when you're doing certain inquiry, when you have certain pointers, there will be expectation and a special anticipation of a shift to happen.
Yeah.
And then, and now I might have a shift or not. This happened to me, to everyone, right? So and you cannot stop that in a way, but you can be aware of that. The key is to be aware and let go, and be aware and come back to the point. This is how we let go, basically. So this is the first part, comparison part as well. Don't do that. This is also something that can be a big trap. Every experience is different, of course. We are differently conditioned, having different history. So you don't control in a way this. Definitely you don't control, but the key is to use the right pointers and be curious. For me this level of curiosity was always there. So that was I give credit to that for all of it. It was always there. It was very natural. it was every day present. I was very curious about how this is going to unfold. And yeah, openness. The other part, definitely being open to whatever resides. This is a practice. Surrendering is a practice. It's not something that you can surrender in a moment and let go everything be as it is. Although it might happen, I don't know, to someone. Anyway, it's a practice for most of us because the body is not used to that. Body is not used to surrender.
Yeah.
To let everything be as it is. It's programmed to resist, to want to go somewhere else, to do something else. So you just have to get a hang of it a little bit. So yeah, openness is the key. Openings, not just being open to whatever resides, but show a little bit of love, a little bit of compassion. This changes really everything. And then the curiosity is there. Try to combine all of these things together. This is kind of, you create certain ground for that, certain context for certain shifts to happen, I would say. But don't listen to me, you will create lots of expectations. So I
Have
just
no
want to point to
expectations
this.
about having expectations.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot not have expectations. It's so normal to have expectations about that. It's you cannot know. Yeah, I'm not going to have expectations. You're not possible to do that. So just be aware of them and smile to them and let go back to the pointers or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, but also becoming aware that if you have expectations, what are they about?
Mm.
Is it about something that you don't like about you, that you want to disappear? Then be aware of that. Is it
Right.
something that you hope that you hate your job, then you become awake, and then you are suddenly
Yeah.
gonna love your job? So it's also
Or
looking
you just
in.
don't have to work anymore. Like
You don't have to
there's
work,
it's
but
like the idea that like just becoming awake, everything in life changes.
yeah,
And it's like I'm
yeah.
suddenly now just going to be floating 6 feet above everybody else. And
But it's that really being curious to what is the expectations, because
Yeah.
just pushing them away, when we say don't have any expectations, pushing them away or ignoring them or lying about them, saying I don't have any expectations at all. It's much more interesting to be curious what are the expectation actually? What is it that you think will happen? What is it you hope that you no longer will be when you become awake?
absolutely.
Because otherwise and also saying that nothing's gonna change. And then if you really get disappointed about that, look into why.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, great point.
Why is that disappointing?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. That's curiosity. Then that you're shifting towards exploring what is this expectations about, what is condition, and all other stuff. Yeah, great pointer.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There's so much even in the idea of not having an expectation, you're still comparing your experience to something else. Like even if you don't, otherwise you would never know that you had a shift, right? There's like still this idea that I'm doing this for a purpose. I'm still okay. I don't know what it is. Maybe I won't feel anything. But there's this subtle looking at everything for to get that special insight, that special moment. And still have, you have to be really honest with yourself, because like it still is probably there in some form that and sometimes it's also not just that we're trying to get rid of something, but it's this kind of like getting the trophy. Like other people have had it, now I want that too. And then conversely, there's something wrong with me that they have it and I don't. And so yeah, we can really tie ourselves up in knots with the whole expectation thing.
Yeah, exactly. At some point, also, I would suggest when you get a hang of it, the whole process, just to maybe for some time stop watching videos and read books and just trust your intuition a little bit for a week or two. Just try how it feels. Definitely, just try how it feels.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, even as we're talking about this, it seems like there's something to be said for the project of setting aside the idea of awakening and the idea of having a shift, just like knowledge that it doesn't exist.
Yeah,
And
that's great. Actually, I was like thinking about it as well. Yeah, how
yeah,
it would feel.
yeah,
So
just do the inquiry and see what happens. And then if you suddenly feel different in one day than another, don't take that as like, yes, that was the shift. It happened. Just like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because really that's what we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
much more the actuality of experience, not that it has a label of shift or or a certain fetter or something. It's just experience being experienced
Yeah.
in a more clear and less filtered and less attached way.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
So
Yeah.
I'm also thinking, because you're guiding at LU, if you should recommend somebody that is starting out in the whole, seeing through self, fetter thing, all of it, what would you recommend them to do? What is like the key pointer? My key pointer to everybody is notice the sensation, slow down, slow down. Notice the sensation in the body and notice how much is actually happening and how much do you think is happening. That's my key pointer that I say to everyone. So if you should give like a key pointer to somebody who start out, what would that be?
Yeah, I mean that's also a starting point, definitely, just to make it clear that whatever is happening in the mind is not real.
Yeah.
And then you contrast that to sound, to sensations in the body. You need to you just feel how whatever is happening in the mind. This is the first point. Whatever is happening in mind cannot be experienced. And this is like I'm not going to use is not real or unreal the pointer, but rather it cannot be experienced as the sound can be experienced, the sensation. So we try to contrast these two phenomena, so to say.
Yeah.
And then you see how they're different, right? How they feel different. This is the first starting point, because we probably, most of us, as myself as well, never thought about that before like that, never kind of was aware like that for most of the time. And then the next thing is definitely depends on, I'm always asking, to give me a definition of self, or not definition, but how the self appears in their experience, to see where they are, but also even a definition to just to get a hang how they intellectualize this. But it comes down always to see that behind every action, behind every thought, there is a belief arising as well that there is something happening.
Yeah.
That there is sense of ownership to this thought, to these sensations, to the sound. There's sense of ownership arising whenever this arises. So I'm pointing down to notice that, to notice that, to notice this kind of feeling, this kind of belief, this kind of thought. Go there, and you just have to go there. And and the thing is, now I have to see: are you going to work with thoughts, or are you going to use sound, or are you going to use sensations for that? That depends on the personality, I would say. So I rather would go with all this direct experience, and then go to these pointer. Where is the eye? Where is the eye there? Just go look for it. Exactly. But first, it's key to notice the belief arising as well. How it's kind of claims ownership over everything. Sensations, thought, sounds. It's happening to something, or it's because of somebody. This thought arising, deciding this to happen. The sense of the decision maker. It's to get familiarized with that there is nothing there. So the first factor, as I said, we talked about it. It's one of the it's tricky. It's tricky to point out to that, because but with enough curiosity, I think it's always look for where the eye in this whole experience, where exactly is, go look for it. And the pointer is there's nothing, but you have to see it. You have to definitely see it.
Yeah.
Do you find when you're working with people, because I know, like, especially when I was doing LU, but then also at other times, people will bring up a lot of like they're still looking to see through the first fetter, but they bring up a lot of like sixth fetter and seventh and eighth stuff of like still feeling not like I still don't feel like that tree. So clearly I haven't seen through
Yeah.
self. There's a lot of confusion between those
Yeah.
levels of lack of identification.
Mm.
Do you have you run into that? Do you have any take on do you just try to tamper their expectations down of like what we're
Yeah.
doing here, or do you try to point to some of it and see if they can capture any of it?
Especially about their activity. There's people are also expecting that everything will be gone, like you'll feel good,
Yeah. Yeah.
which might be the case or not. I don't know. For some it is, for some it doesn't. It's not that subtle. For someone it's very clear shift, as you said. Other cases can be more subtle, but definitely the activity will be there for most of us. This is the thing that I notice. And yeah, this is definitely and yeah, the feeling good part, definitely all the time. Like after that, my life will change. Uh, but that also, as I said, some people are coming with other experience. They expect not to have a strong shift, but subtle shift.
Yeah.
So this is also expectation in a way. It's imagination of what is going to be. So
Yeah.
again, I would point it's fine. It's just be able to notice it that is there arising and just go with a pointer. The key with the first fetter or the first awakening of conscious experience is to see there is no I behind. There is no doer basically behind
Mm.
what's happening. There is no I that creates thought. There is no I that receives sound in a way. Although the distance with the sound and the eye will be still here, but it will be very clear that there is no, there's just a sound there. So there is, and there's no, when you look also the sensation that they also are rising, you don't control them, basically they're there all the time. So, uh, and this is this lack of doership, decision maker, whatever it is there, whatever the mind is labeling. Also, it's important to notice, okay, look, that's very unique. Look how your mind is labeling this first, what we're dealing with the first factor. Look also how the mind is labeling the I in a way.
Yeah.
And then to okay, here am I. It could be different in different situations because in different situations it will different social situation especially. If you get a chance also to explore in that part would be great because more you explore on the cushion home, then the mind will automatically more explore in different social settings.
Yeah.
And this is gold.
Agree.
This is when you integrate awakening in your life and you start integrating because you cannot avoid it. You have to integrate. So and then the mind will and it will catch yourself to have even shifts you might have because I had certain shifts outside of of my comfort zone, so to say.
Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is how
I
we
love,
integrate.
yeah, I really love that. I really love that pointing to that it's something that needs to be part of your everyday life.
Yeah,
Not something that is only happening when you meditate, or only happening on the cushion, or only happen 4 times a day.
yeah.
It's every
Oh,
waking
yeah.
moment of your life that it's there, and because it's how it is. It is life.
It is life basically. So that's exactly right. Yeah, it should be like that. As was my experience. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just really interesting experiences that you can have every time you sit down on a meditation cushion, but it doesn't really impact your
no,
interactions with other people or the
yeah.
way that you drive yourself crazy for no reason or any of that stuff.
Mm.
Mm.
We kind of asked that did we actually, I can't remember. Did we ask exactly that how has the awakened experience lived up to the expectations that you had of it beforehand? Um,
Yeah.
did we
Yeah,
cover that?
we did
Did we
that.
cover that?
But
Okay, I
Yeah,
can't
I
but
remember
think
if
so.
we're
Yeah,
actually
I
covering
mean,
that specifically.
in terms of there's no suffering anymore and everything is okay. More than that, even it lived to my expectation to a certain extent.
And then-
But I couldn't imagine it to feel like that. So yes and no.
There's-
Yeah.
yeah, there's also the part about now that you're awake, do you think that everything is sorted, or is there still more stuff to be done? It's
That's a good
obviously
question. Yeah, I think
it's
there is
it's
more to
obviously
come.
a question because a lot of people, they have the expectation that when a feather is falling, there's
Mm.
nothing more to be done. And our experience is very much that you can always go deeper. You can always go
Yeah.
deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think also I feel that intuitively that you can go deeper, definitely. So the thing now is that now it's not that it's coming to you now in a way.
Mm.
Awakening is coming to you now more than you have to do something about that. Experience gets much more direct. Everything gets it's vibrating of life. It's and this will crystallize even more and it will get more intense for sure. That I can feel it. This is the part when it's now I'm going to explore how this is going to, and very often I catching myself being amazed by certain small things in life.
Yeah.
And this is the part when definitely it will go deeper because I think there are structural changes in the brain are happening. So there's no limit to this, I would say. So let's see.
Yeah, and it's also the part that I very often hear people being disappointed that they've seen through self, the fourth feather fell, the fifth feather fell, and then they start to work with seventh feather, eighth feather, I am, something like
Mhm.
that. and all of a sudden they visit their mother-in-law, and then they're aggravated by the mother-in-law, and they go, oh my God, I thought that the fifth feather had fallen. Now it's definitely hasn't
Yeah.
fallen because I'm angry again. And I'm just trying to let them know that no, you're just ready to understand it on a deeper level.
Yeah.
You understood it before, you have seen through self, everything is fine. Now you just understand it on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Because we're becoming much more rounded, well-rounded as people.
Of course, we have busy lives, especially most of us here, conditioned by a million things during the day. So
yeah,
don't beat yourself if you react to something. The key is this react, not to ruin your day, something like that. There's reactivity, reaction, whatever it is. But if you find yourself, to react in a way, you're not become passive. Let's make that clear. You will stand for yourself or for other if that needs to be done, if that's the case, but in a very different way, of course.
yeah.
So this is one of the part that still feel it's about learning. This is the Buddhists call it like a wisdom part, compassion part.
Yeah.
This is coming. This is coming. This is also now exploring from very different way how things are happening, and learning also from what is unfolding. There's so much to learn still. There's so much to learn.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. If people want to get in contact with you, because I know you guide on LU,
Yeah.
and you're also part of the 3 continents of awakening. You are very often, or sometimes, you are in the feather-free meeting on Saturdays. Sometimes, yeah, exactly. How do people get in contact with you?
I can leave an email address in the description of this video, and then feel free to reach out.
Wonderful.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to seeing where everything goes with you with the guiding and everything else.
Yeah,
and
of course.
if you have anything else to promote at any point, let us
Yeah.
know. We'll be happy
Yeah,
to.
of course. We'll catch up definitely.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I
That'd be nice.
really appreciate you doing this. It's been such a fun
Yeah, of course.
conversation. I'd love to, again, do another one at some point and see,
Yeah.
cover some more things more in depth. This was kind of a really nice, just quick overview of what, the process and what life is like afterwards. But I think there's a lot that we could talk about in more depth or two.
Yeah. Of course. Would be my pleasure, definitely.
Thank you so
Amazing.
much. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Great questions, really.
Thank you.
So good to see
Enjoyed
you.
it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And yeah, have a great night. Get some rest.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.